Hello, everyone. It's Philip Lee returning with another episode of Civil War Chat. Today is the 7th of January, 2022. And click on the subscribe button here in the lower right if you'd like to subscribe, and also the notification bell in the far upper right to be notified when new episodes are released. Today's topic is Salomon de Rothschild. He was a member of the de Rothschild family, which was the prominent banking family in Europe at this time. And he toured America and Canada and Cuba during the 18 months or almost 24 months from 1859 to 1861. So he was there while the Civil War was being formed or started. And he watched all of those developments. He rubbed elbows with some of the most obviously was some of the most prominent people in the United States and Canada, wherever he went. And as a Frenchman and as a banker, he was presumably objective in his observations, though clearly I would assume that his loyalties would be toward, or his political leanings would be toward the elite classes. But nonetheless, he was not a Southerner and he was not a Yankee, he was not even American. But he spent a lot of time here. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to quote from a letter he wrote on April 28th, 1861, which was about 2 weeks after Fort Sumter. He wrote the letter from New Orleans, and I have a little bit at the end. 2 months later, he wrote another letter. I'm going to quote from that. So, beginning. 2 reasons impelled Northerners to seek the destruction of slavery by all possible means. The first, which was given by those who wanted to deceive, to win over chivalrous hearts and to allure European sympathies, was a simple reason, that of humanity. In a free country like America, there shouldn't be any slaves, and complete equality should prevail among all classes. However, the real sentiments which guided them and which they did not dare admit was that feeling of leveling, whereby everybody who would have to be nominally equal. They couldn't bear to see the inhabitants of the South with 200 hands at their service when they had only 2 hands themselves. After the Cotton States formed a confederacy in February 1861, the situation became clear, or was becoming clear. The entire Deep South was united. The North was beginning to be, but it still had within its ranks many persons who favored Southern rights. Pecuniary interest did the rest. The great question over which the South and the North had been locked in bitter combat for 30 years was the question of tariffs. The South was a producer of raw materials and a consumer. The North was a manufacturer. Free trade, or at least very moderate customs duties, was the desire of the South. The North favored protection, often even prohibition of imports. By the old tariff law, the eastern states and New England furnished the other states merchandise which these latter could procure in Europe at reductions of 25 to 30%. As soon as the Republican administration came to power, Congress passed the moral tariff, which raised duties to an unprecedented rate. The states which had seceded responded with a very great decrease in these same tariffs, intimating their eventual complete abolition. In other words, he's saying that eventually they would eliminate tariffs in the South. The North understood that it was lost if secession continued and made progress. Who would then buy the iron products of Pennsylvania and the manufactured goods of New England? It would no longer be the South, but the South would get its supplies in the European markets and would find a way to pass its purchases into the Western states. From that moment on, the South no longer had a supporter in the North. This is what triggered, according to what he's saying, this is what triggered Republicans and Democrats to crowd around the flag of the Union. Patriotism played some part. But believe me, the principal motive that caused the Democrats in the North and the Republicans in the North to unite, the principal motive, quoting him, the principal motive was the pocket, close quote. It was therefore necessary to get rid of this revolt, which was making daily progress in bringing the North closer to its ruin. The Western and Eastern states offered their troops and their treasuries to the government and were willing to go to any extreme of sacrifice. But this appeal reverberated in a different way in the states which had not yet decided. Virginia seceded immediately, bringing to the Southern Confederacy the help of her numerous population. So, the war which the North is going to wage against the South is an impious, barbarous, fratricidal war. To save a few pennies for those arrogant manufacturers, members of one and the same family are going to find themselves opposed to each other. Old friends will cut each other's throats, and rivers of blood will be shed. Again, all that the South is asking is to be left alone and permitted to govern itself as it sees fit. It will not attack except in its own defense. Now, 2 months later, in late June, he writes another letter, this one from France, because he had returned to France, but it's from France to his cousin in London. The South could supply itself with all necessary items in Europe at prices from 25 to 40% lower. Now, he's increased the 30% to 40% in this letter. At prices from 25 to 40% lower than what they have been paying up to now. It contends that these USA tariff duties that make the higher prices necessary prior to secession do it no good, do the South no good, and that the money goes back into the pockets of the Northern manufacturers. Therefore, the South wants to escape from this tax. The suppression or even a strong reduction in these duties would completely ruin the eastern states of New Jersey and Pennsylvania, which could not compete with the cheap prices attained by England and even by France. Thousands of men would find themselves unemployed and would therefore threaten the well-being and the very existence not only of their employers, but even of the merchants and the producers in those areas, leading to an imminent danger of social revolution, which the North must avoid at all costs. So, my book, Causes of the Civil War by Philip Lee, covers many of these points. I've just read to you a letter from a member of the Rothschild banking family from France, giving you an objective viewpoint of what started the war. And here you'll find a lot more evidence to back up his opinions. Causes of the Civil War by Philip Lee, available at Amazon, Barnes & Noble, and all fine bookstores for $22. If you want an autographed copy, it's $25. Just contact me and I can arrange that. When you, if you like the book, or if you like any of my books, please give them a 5-star ranking on Amazon or wherever you're buying them. And it really helps us out. So that'd be a great help. Okay, that's our show for today, and thanks for watching.